Hello and welcome to Free Maths Lessons. Today we're going to be looking at 2023 Practice Paper Set 2, Paper 3, Higher. Right, so what I wanted to show you guys is saying use these chapters to go to the right question that you wanted to go to. So if you want to skip the intro and go to the question 1 or question 3, any question that you're struggling to understand or you need a little bit more help or clarification, just go to that question using this slider here. There's a chapters underneath that. You can see this question 9, question 10 and so on. Also, if you struggle to work through that, you can go into the description and pick the right chapter, right question that you needed help with. There are link to the paper 1 and paper 2 on there, and a link to download the paper and the mark scheme for the paper that I'm going through. Again, I would suggest that you download the paper, go through it yourself before you run through the explanation on this videos. Okay, so again, without delay, let's make a start with the question 1. First question, simplify that. So power of power, you multiply. So that's power of power. You got 2 lots of x cubed. That means you get x to the power 6. Again, simplifying it really straightforward. You got x cubed squared. So it's x cubed times x cubed. So x cubed means you got x times x times x. And another x cubed means you're multiplying again. So you got x times x times x. So altogether we have 6 lots of x multiplied by itself. That gives you x to the power 6. Dividing by the power is cancelling it out, taking away. So you can look at it straightforward way. Y to the power 8, take away 2, that gives you y to the power 6. If you want to understand it, y to the power 8 is y multiplied by itself 8 times. And then the y squared means y multiplied by itself 2 times. Now I can divide top and bottom by y, and that gives you 1. And anything multiplied by 1 is just itself. Divide top and bottom by y again, that gives you 1. So all you get is 1 times y to the power 6, which is y to the power 6. Exterior angle of any polygon. Sum means total. What's the total of the exterior angle of any polygon? So exterior angle in a polygon, let's say we start with the triangle. That's interior angle, these are. Now exterior angle is if you were to continue it and you get this line here. So interior and exterior always makes up 180 degrees. So that's the exterior angle here. That's the exterior angle here. So interior and the exterior always makes 180 degrees. So imagine this in an equilateral triangle. Then you get 60, 60 and 60. So exterior angle would be 120, 120 and 120. That gives you 360. If it was a square or rectangle, you have interior angle 90 degrees. So for exterior angle would be 90 degree as well. And we would get 4 lots of 90 is 360. So sum means the total of exterior angle in any polygon will always going to be same as 360 degrees. Y squared. So we're squaring the entire thing. We're doing 5 times root x over 2 multiplied by 5 times root x over 2. That's what it means by y squared. You multiply y by itself. Now we can do the multiplication of the fraction really straightforward. Multiply the bottom numbers together. Gives you 4. Multiply the top numbers together. So you get 5 times 5 gives you 25. And multiply root x times root x gives you x. So you get 25x over 4. And that's what we needed to do. .4 seconds is given to you as nearest 0.1 second. Complete the error interval. So that means if I round some number that rounds to 10.4, at one decimal place in a way. Okay? So we want to look for what are the possibilities, what numbers rounds to 10.4. So I generally look at it as a next number at one decimal place, which is 10.5. And the number before that, which is 10.3. Now if I'm looking for the boundaries, lower bound and upper bound, I'm looking for these ones. These are my boundaries. So anything within these boundary lines will round to 10.4. So halfway between 10.3 and 10.4. That would be 10.35. So 10.35, including 10.35, and anything above that will round to 10.4. So that's my lower bound, 10.35. And that's why we're saying less than or equal to, sorry, more than or equal to. So t has to be more than or equal to. That's time has to be more than or equal to 10.35, but less than 10.45, because that's halfway between these 2 points, and that's your error interval. That's right angle triangles, and they are similar, not drawn accurately, but you can say how many times you make in this shape bigger. If you're going from 5 to 20, you're making it 4 times bigger. Write down the value of cos. So first we not need to look at that part. We need to work out what's the cos of x going to be. So cos x, if you write down your SOHCAHTOA, we're looking at cos x. So cos of an angle is adjacent. So this 5 centimeter here is next to that angle, so it's adjacent, and this 8 centimeter is opposite right angle, so that's your hypotenuse. So that's A and that's your H. So cos x is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse is 5 over 8. That's it. Work out the value of y. So if we know we're multiplying by 4, if you go from this triangle to this triangle, then that length needs to be multiplied by 4 to work out what y is going to be. So we're multiplying that side by 4 as well. So 8 times 4, that gives you y value to be 32 centimeter in this case. So you worked out the scale factor, which was 4, and you use the scale factor to work out the 32, which was 8 multiplied by 4. That gives you that 32. In a band 3 members, mean age is 21 years old. So if the mean age of 3 member is 21 year old, then every single member is on average is 21 year old. So if I wanted to work out the total age of 3 members, I'm doing 3 times 21, that gives me 63 years. And then saying, okay, Ashley joins in. So Ashley is added in. And now you have 4 members. Okay, so plus Ashley, you have 4 members. Now the mean age of all 4 members goes from 21 to 22. So we know now the total age of those 4 members, including Ashley, would be 4 times 22, and that gives me 88. If I wanted to work out how old Ashley is, I just need to add 88 take away 63. Whatever I'm adding to 63 to get to 88, that would be Ashley's age. So Ashley's age going to be 88 take away 63, and that gives me 25. So Ashley is 25 years old. Now write every single thing that you've done here, and then you write it down. You get marks for each one of those parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Children chooses number at random from 1 to 4, and the math also chooses a number at random from 1 to 4. Write down the probability that the total of those two numbers chosen is 10. Now if you're choosing a number from 1 to 10 and both numbers are added together, the minimum you can get is 2 and the maximum you can get is 8. So minimum is 2 and the max you can get is 8 when you add those two numbers from 1 to 4. So getting a score of 10 is impossible, and impossible means zero outcome has a total of 10, then that's probability of getting score of 10 is 0. Work out the total of two numbers chosen is more than 6. So now it's 3-mark question. I need to do the sample space diagram for both Matt and Joan. So let's say Joan chooses one number. So we got the sample space diagram saying if Joan chooses one number from those 4 and Matt chooses one number of those 4, and then we're adding them together. So if both of those chooses 1, you get 1 add 1 is 2, and so on. So these are 16 different outcomes you could get. We need to work out the total score that's more than 6. More than 6 are these 3 numbers. And 3 numbers out of 16. So probability that they choose total is more than 6 is 3 numbers out of 16. That's the probability of getting more than 6. There you go. Three adults and 2 children tickets cost £46, whereas 1 adult and 2 child ticket cost £24. So childs are exactly the same. So we can work out the cost of 2 adults tickets. Okay, so 2 adults would be 46 take away 24. That gives me 22. So if 2 adults cost you £22, then we know the 1 adult will cost you £11. That would possibly get you that first mark. Then work out the cost of the child's tickets then. Okay, so if we know that 1 adult, which is £11, plus 2 child gives you 24. So we need to take away £11 from 24, work out the 2 child will cost you £13. If 2 child cost you £13, that means 1 child will cost you £6.50. Again, you can do it slightly more complex way, but as long as you get to the both answer these adult tickets, cost of the child tickets, and then you would get those 3 marks. You don't have to make it more complex than it's supposed to be. Formulas for this area is given to us. If the length is A and the height is B, you do pi times AB over 4. So length is 3.6, the height is 1.2. We can work out the area of this all. But before we do that, we need to say, okay, we need to work out the metal. Sine is made for rectangular metal sheet. And you need to say shaded section is removed, so you can see this sign in that oval shape. Okay, work out the percentage of the rectangular metal sheet used to make that sign. Okay, so we need to work out the area of both. This part here, where we know the A is 3.6 and the B is 1.2. We can do that part first using this formula here. So we're doing 3.6 times 1.2. That's the area of the rectangle as well, because that's the height of the rectangle and then the width of the rectangle. So area of the rectangle is given to us by 36 times 3.6 times. So that is 4.32. Now we use that to work out the area of the oval shape. So we're doing pi times 4.32 and divided by 4. That's the area of this oval shape here. And I get that one to be 3.39 at 2 decimal places. So what we needed to work out is saying, okay, work out this area here as a percentage of the big total area there. So what we're doing is saying, okay, we're going to write here as a fraction 3.39 over 4.32 and multiply by 100. And that gives you the sine as a percentage of the total metal sheet. The company A claims their product are half as likely to be faulty compared to the company B. We know the company A has 4% product at 40. So company B should have 8% 40. And if as long as we're saying this 32 40 product out of the total product is making 8%, then we successfully done that. So when you add them together, they add up to 400. When you add 368 and 32. So company makes 32 40 and 368 not 40. So we're saying, okay, what is 32 out of 400 as a percentage? So we just put that in the calculator, and when you put it in, you should get 8%, and if it's not 8%, we can say the claim is wrong. That gives you 8%. So that's right. The company B has 8% 40 product, whereas company A has 4% company product. So the claim is correct. We just worked out the actual working that we needed to do that. Right, straightforward. Okay, if you're writing numbers in the standard form, your first number A has to be within 1 and 10. So it can be 1, but it cannot be bigger than 10 or 10. Whereas the first number here, where the Ami writes, the first number is 20.96, which is bigger than 10. So that's the problem with Ami's answer. 20 is greater than 10. Okay? And therefore we can't use that as a standard form. So X writes 2.097 times 6 to the 10 to the power minus 4. So what's wrong with his answer? When you have a 10 to the power minus 4, it means you're dividing by 10 4 times. So if you want to write this as an ordinary number, it will turn out to be 0.0002 0976, which is not correct. So should have been writing it as a 2.0976 times 10 to the power positive 4. Negative 4 means divide by 10 4 times. Negative 4 also means 1 over 10 to the power positive 4. So that means I'm dividing this number by 10 to the power 4 4 times, and that's what you would get if you continue with that. In a concert, ratio of men to women is 5 to 3. So I'm going to write that down. Whenever I'm doing ratio questions, I always write it down. The ratio of women to children is 9 to 7. So if I go from women to children now, it would be 9 to 4. So I can still see three things compared. But obviously every single one of those are numbers different. Now show that more than half of the people in the concert are male. Now we need to get this woman have the same number. So I can say, okay, what's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 9, which is 9. So make that 9. If I'm making that 9, I need to multiply by 3. If I multiply that woman by 3, I need to multiply this by 3 as well, because I'm only considering that line at the top here. So now I can work with all of it basically. So there are 15 men, there are 9 women. And if there are 9 women, then there has to be 4 children. So he's saying, show that the more than half of the people at the concert are men. So if you add them together, all of them together basically, that shouldn't add up to 30. Okay. And then you have 15, which is more than half of it. You can say, okay, these two put together, that's still bigger. 15 is bigger than 9 add 4. So we're going to look at it. So 9 add 4 is 13, add 15 is 28. So we're saying total there is 28. So 15 out of 28 is greater than 50%. So more than half is greater than half, or 50%. Whatever you want to call it, you can do that. Let's put that as a half if you needed to. So 15 over 28 is more than half. Solve this equation, give your answer to 2 decimal places. Now we can use two different things here. If you say asking you to write your answer at 2 decimal places, I would generally use quadratic formula or completing the square method. Why? Because that's, if you are answering it at 2 decimal places, that's the best way of looking at it. You might not factorize it. Okay, so I'm going to use the completing square method here. So actually that would be slightly tricky. So let's use a quadratic formula. So with the quadratic formula goes something like that. X is equal to negative b plus and minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and that's everything over 2a. So now we got three letters that we can use. A is equal to 4, b is equal to 7, and c is equal to negative 3. Substitute those numbers in here and you will get your answer. So b is negative 7, so that's negative 7 plus and minus. This is your discriminant. B squared is 49 minus 4 times a, which is 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times negative 3 is positive 48 over 2 times a, which is 4, 2 times 4, which is 8. And that's entire thing, okay? And put that in the calculator. One answer you get for positive one, and another one you get is for the negative value. So we get one answer to be 0.36 at 2 decimal places. And the other answer is negative 2.11. So those are the two answers we get when you put that in the calculator. Again, when you're putting things in the calculator, make sure you put the brackets around negative 7 and you put the bracket inside the square root, so you know you're square rooting 49 and add 48. Both of those added together, then you're square rooting it. When you put that numbers in the calculator, make sure again you use the brackets inside the square root to make sure that you put another square root inside that as well. So we will get 3.14153339 and so on. So again we're saying, okay, this is within the 0.01% of the calculator value. That's what we're trying to work out. So if you do the answer we got, taking away pi, which is 3 at that point, 3.14159. So take away 3 and I get negative 0.001, negative, well, it's going to be difference would be positive because I'm going to be doing that, take away that. So 0.0005661. Now we need to use that's the difference and that's the original. So divide it by 3.14159 and then multiply by 100. And if we get anything within that 0.01% of the calculator value, then you know that's a percentage error. They will found the percentage error. That's a change, divide by the original, then multiplying by 100. So I'm going to divide it by 3.14159 and then multiply by 100. And I get 0.0018. That is within the 0.01% of the calculator value. So which is well within that 0.01% of the calculator value. So we're saying, okay, that will give me 0.0018%. Rearrange to make f the subject. If you have f in two places, the first thing I would do, okay, or only things I would do is multiply both sides by 6 minus f. So we will have e times 6 minus f, which is equal to f plus 7. Now you got f on both sides of the equal sign. So what we need to do, we need to multiply out these brackets and make sure you collect the f on one side of the equal sign. So if I multiply out the brackets, I get 6e minus ef, which is equal to f plus 7. Now take away f from both sides or add ef on both sides. So get rid of the f from here, ef, and you put it on the other side. And at the same time, I need to get rid of that 7 as well. Okay, so I'm going to take away 7 from both sides. So we get 6e minus 7, which is equal to, and I'm going to add ef on both sides. So that'll give you 0, and you're left with 6e and negative 7. And if you add ef on both sides, that gives you 0, and you're left with f add ef. Now what you need to do is make sure you collect the f together, factorize f out. So we will have 6e minus 7, which is equal to f factorized out. So if you take away f times 1 gives you f, and f times e gives you ef. So it's 1 plus e. So f times 1 plus e is same as that. Now you got f by itself. If I wanted to keep that f by itself, I need to divide both sides by 1 plus e, and that will give you f as a subject. So f is equal to 6e minus 7 divided by 1 plus e. And that will give you your f is a subject. So we rearranged it and made f by itself on one side of the equal sign. So these are the three lines we need to draw. We need to draw the line y equal to 3, but it's strictly less than, so we need to draw the dotted line y is less than 3. So you're going to do the dotted line. So this is the side we want, because y is less than 3 on this side of that dotted line. Then we need to draw this one, x and y add to give you 1. Okay. So when you add both of those value, x plus y, and gives you 1. So it's going to be, one of the point is this one here, where x is 0, y is 1. X is 1, y is 0. So if you draw the line, straight line going through those two points, we get this one here, and it's going to be solid line. And again, we need to find which side we want. We want this side to be greater than 1. Okay. So let's pick the point 0, 0. If you put add 0 and here, 0 in here, that's point 0, 0. 0 add 0 is 0, and 0 is not greater than 1. So we don't want this side of this solid line. We want this side of this solid line. So we know this side we wanted, and now we want this side. So it's going to be somewhere around this triangle here. And then the last one we need to draw is this line, y equal to 2x minus 2. How are we going to draw that line? So we're going to say, okay, it's going to go through the negative 2. That's your y-intercept. So we know where of this point is y-intercept. And then the gradient is 2. So when you move 1 across, you're going 2 up. So that's another point. When you move 1 across, you're going 2 up. So we need to draw a straight line going through that, and it's greater than or equal to. So it's going to be solid line again. Again, that's the line. So we want, let's put 0, 0 in here. 0 is greater than negative 2. That's correct. If I put 0 in here and 0 in here, so that's the point 0, 0, this point here. Does that point satisfy this inequality? Yes, it does. That means we want this side of that line. So this line here, straight line, we want this side of the line where the 0, 0 is. So we want this one here. So that's the reason we get this triangle here. That's what we wanted to shape, and that's what's saying show the reason R on the grid here that satisfy all three inequalities. So that's the reason R here that satisfy every single one of those inequalities. R is less than 3, y value is less than 3, x plus y is greater than 1, and y is greater than or equal to 2x minus 2 on this side. So this is the reason that we wanted. Again, if it's the less than or more than sign, you put dotted line. If it's greater than or equal to lines, you put the solid line. Right, so O are the odd numbers, P are the prime numbers, and S are the square numbers. So explain why there are no numbers in P intersection S. So the no numbers, that's prime and the square number. So only even number, that's the prime number, is necessary. So if it's a square number, then you'd always get the factor 1 multiplied by itself. and the only prime number that you get, square number that you get, that's got two factor, one factor is 1 itself. Another way you can look at it is saying all the square numbers will have odd numbers of factors. So you see either 1, 3, 5, 7, those kind of things, okay? And to be a prime number, it should have exactly two factors. So they won't have anything that's in common. So that's the reason, one of the reason you can say, saying, okay, prime number has the only two factors, one in itself. And then the square number means the number multiplied by itself always gives you that. So you always get one more factor than what you should get to make it prime. The only one that has less than two factor is 1, which is not a prime number. So there won't be any overlap at all. So it could be odd numbers or the prime numbers. Okay. So the only number that's prime, that's not odd, is 2. So we're saying 2 plus the 50 odd numbers. So 2 is one of those, plus 50 odd numbers between 1 to 100. Because all the prime numbers going to be odd numbers except that 2. So we will have O union P would be 51. 51 of those numbers going to be prime number or odd number. A, B, C are three integers. A is 5 less than B. So we can write this down as an expression saying A is equal to, means A is equal to 5 less than B means B minus 5. Now C means C is equal to 5 more than B. So C is equal to B plus 5. Prove that the AC plus 25 is equal to B squared. So we just need to put those numbers things in there and then say that's going to be exactly the same as on the B squared. That's proving part. So if you put A equal to that and B equal to that, which is B plus 5, C equal to that, and then you add 25 to that, and that should be same as B squared. So just multiply this out and add 25, and if we get same answer as right hand side, then we proved ourselves. Okay, so B squared should be the right hand side. So we're saying, okay, that would be B squared minus 25 when you multiply them out, plus 25, which gives you B squared, because that gives you 0, and that is same as right hand side, and we proved it. That's it. That's all we had to do. But if we assume that it's a right angle triangle, then we can use SOHCAHTOA. So we know that's an angle, so 4 is your opposite to that angle, so that's O. X is the opposite of angle ABC, so that's your hypotenuse, and that's adjacent. So we're going to be using opposite and the hypotenuse to work out what X is, okay? So that gives me the formula saying sine X or sine 35, which is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 4 and hypotenuse is X. So if I wanted to work out X, I multiply both sides by X and then divide both sides by sine 35. So we would get X is equal to 4 divided by sine 35. And you put that in the calculator, you get what X is. Before you put that in the calculator, make sure you have your calculator in degree mode. So you should have DEG in the small letter at some point in your calculator, okay? So if it's not in degrees, then you can get completely wrong answer. So that's the reason you need to show this working out. What you wrote down here is important. I get 6.97 at 2 decimal places. Centimeters for X. Now, in fact, the angle ABC is 80 degrees. That changes everything. That means we can't use SOHCAHTOA if that's 80 degree angle. What we can use here is that's one pair of opposite angles inside, and then you got another opposite angles inside. So we can use sine rule here. So 4 and 35, and then we got 80 degree and x. That's x, that's 4, that's 80, and that's x. Sorry, that's 35. So we can use 35 degree and 4, saying 4 over sine of 35, which is same as x over sine of 80, because we know this is 80 degree, that's 35 degrees. So we know one pair of opposite angle inside, and you can use that to work out the other one. So if I wanted to work out what x is, multiply both sides by sine 80. So we get 4 lots of sine 80 over sine 35. And that gives you what x is. And that's just putting numbers in the calculator. And then we get 6.87. Whereas that was 6.97. Compared to that, we get smaller number, which is 6.87. So h is directly proportional to the square of t. So make sure you don't forget the square part. Okay. So what we can do is we can write down the equation or formula. H is equal to some constant k multiplied by t squared. Now we've been given what h is and what t is. We can substitute those values to work out what k is. So h is 80. So we're saying when h is 80, so 80 should be equal to some constants. We don't know what that k is. Something multiplied by square of t, so which is 4 squared. And 4 squared is same as 16. So we're doing k is equal to 80 divided by 16. So we can work out saying k is equal to 80 divided by 16, which is 5. So once you know what k is equal to, we can put in our original formula saying h is equal to 5 times t squared. Now all you need to do is substitute t equal to 7.5 to work out what's h going to be. So what we're doing is saying, okay, the h is 5 times 7.5 squared multiplied by 5. So we get 5 times 56.25. So remember square first, then multiply by 5. So we get height to be 281.25. ABC is a straight line. That's ABC there. That's 12, that's 6. We know the coordinates, that means. This is 6, 0. And we can work out the coordinates of the point C. So let's work out the coordinates of point C first. And then we can work out the gradient. It's entirely up to you which one you want to do first. But that's really important. We need to know the gradient, and we need to know at least one point on the line CDE or DCE. So first let's work with that. Work out the midpoint. So if you want to work out the midpoint of AB, that's what C is. We add the x coordinates together, so 0 and 6. And then divide by 2. That gives you the x coordinates of the midpoint. And then you add the y coordinates together, which is 12 add 0. And then divide by 2. That gives you the y value of C. So we know 6 divided by 2 is 3. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So that's the coordinates of C. 3, 6. That would be really crucial. Again, if you want to work out the gradient, we're looking at the x. So we're going 6 across and 12 down. That's our gradient. So change in y divided by change in x. So change in y is negative 12, where the change in x is 6. So we're doing negative 12. So we're looking to find out the gradient of ABC is negative 12, because you're going down 12 when you're moving 6 across, divide by 6, which gives you negative 2. So we know the gradient of this line here is negative 2. So we now know the gradient of this vertical line here. That's normal to this ACB, means perpendicular to that. If it's a perpendicular gradient of this line, is going to be 1 over gradient, negative 1 over gradient of that one, which gives me gradient of half. So we know the gradient there is going to be half, and it goes through the point 36. So we can write it down saying y is equal to half x plus c. But we know that one of the point on this line, so we're going to use that where x value is 3 and the y value is 6. So when x is 3, y is going to be 6. So what is the value of c? That's what we're trying to work out here. So we substitute those in. 6 is equal to half of 3 plus c. Half of 3 would be 3 over 2. 3 over 2, which is 1.5. So what's the value of c? 1.5 add 4.5 will give you 6. So that's what c is. C is equal to 9 over 2 or 4.5. And you can got the equation of the normal perpendicular line, and that's what we're looking for here. Okay. Work out the equation of the DCE, which is y equal to half x plus 9 over 2. Doesn't say what form they want it in, so I'll leave it as that form. Work out the vector AB. Now I need to make it slightly smaller so you can fit the question in. Work out the vector A to B. So A to B. So go from A to B, I can go A to E and then E to B. That's what I need to go. So A to B is A plus 3B. And then E to B is minus A plus B. So A and minus A gives you 0. 3b and b gives you 4b. So vector AB is actually same as 4b. ED is 1/3 of AE and DC is negative 1/3 of A. Prove that EC is parallel to AB. As long as EC and AB have the same letters but multiples of something, okay, 2 times bigger or 3 times bigger, then they both going in the same direction but slightly smaller or bigger. That's what we're trying to prove here. So we're saying ED is 1/3 of AE. So ED is 1/3. So that's 1/3 of A plus 3B. And then we're saying DC is negative 1/3 of A. DC is negative 1/3 of A. And we want to prove that EC and AB, so it should be multiple of B, and somehow basically EC should be multiple of B, just B, if you want to prove that EC and AB are parallel. So we're going to just work out what EC going to be. So ED add DC will give you EC. So we're going to say, okay, 1/3 of A, so that's 1/3 of A, and 1/3 plus 1/3 times 3B gives you 3B, and then take away 1/3 of A. So that 1/3 of A and take away 1/3 of A will give you 0. So E to C is B, and whereas we worked out AB is 4B. So that is just multiple of AB. So that means this vector and those vectors are parallel. It's just this one is 4 times bigger than EC, and we proved it. So we're saying AB is same as 4 times EC. Therefore, AB and EC are parallel. Right, if it's translated, this transformation of the graph is translated 2 places down. That means this is y, 2 places down means you're changing the y value by reducing y value by 2. And this is the one that actually reduces it, moves everything 2 places down. So whatever you're getting the x square value, and then you're taking away 2. So y value will automatically drops 2 down every single time. Inverse function means you want to work out value of x. What would your formula is going to be when you make x the subjects here? Okay, so this function of x means saying, okay, if instead of function of x, if we write it down as saying y equal to 9x plus 4 over 7, and then make x the subjects, that will give you inverse function. If you want to work out the input from the output, okay, or output from the input, that's a function, and then if you want to work out input from the output, you make x the subject. So we rearrange that by multiplying both sides by 7, we get 7y equal to 9x plus 4. Then you take away 4 from both sides, you get 7y, take away 4 equal to 9x. And then divide both sides by 9, you get 7y minus 4 over 9 equal to x. And that would be your inverse function. So if I wanted to write it in terms of the x, we replace that y with x. So inverse function of x would be 7x minus 4 over 9. That's your inverse function. We've been given a speed versus a time graph here. And if you've been given the speed versus time graph, you can work out the distance by working out the area underneath this line. That would give you distance. And once you know the total distance and you know the average speed, you can work out how long it took us, basically. So you can work out the time. And that's what we're going to try and work out here. So this triangle here is 8 across 9 up. So if you want to work out the area of this triangle is, so 8 times 9, or half of 8 times 9, which is 36. So that's area there is 36. So in this first 8 seconds we travel 36 meters. And then this one here, we're going from 8 to 14. So that length is 6 and the height still 9. Okay, so 6 times 9 is 54. So that's area there is 54 meters. And then what we got is a trapezium where there's 9 and that's 6. So we're adding 9 and 6 together. And then multiply by the height, which is gap between them, which is in this case going from 14 to t. So which we're saying, okay, we're gonna have to do t minus 14. That's your height, because we don't know what actually that t is, and that's what we're trying to work out. So here 9 add 6 will give you 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So we get 7.5 t minus 14. So one of the numbers I'll need to know, because then I'll only know only one thing that's unknown, which is that t. Okay, so I can work out 7.5 times 14 and negative 105, and then 7.5 t. So I can do that. We get 15 altogether when you add all the numbers together. So what we get is this: total distance traveled is 7.5 t plus 15 in all of those. So whatever that t is, 7.5 t plus 15, that's the total distance been traveled here. Okay, and now we know we're traveling at 7.2 meter per second. That's our total. There. So this distance should be 7.2 meter per second multiplied by t. So this should be equal to 7.2 t. If you have t on both sides, what we can do is we can take away 7.2 t from both sides, and we get this 0.3 t, which is equal to negative 15. And if you have 0.3 t is equal to negative 15, did I make a mistake? No, so that should be negative 15. So that becomes positive 15. Sorry, that's negative 15. When you do negative 105 is way bigger than these two together. So negative 15. And negative 0.3 t is equal to negative 15. So t, the time going to be 15 divided by 0.3. Then if you do that, 50. So the time is 50 seconds altogether. Again, working out these individual things get you marks, 1 mark, possibly 1 mark here, 2 marks. If you compare it with that, 3 marks, 4 marks, and the 5th marks coming from getting that final value. Like, share, and subscribe if you like the video. And if you want to see more, just put it in the comment what paper you'd like to see. I'll try to get those done as quickly as possible. Again, time is a big constraint, so share it with anyone who probably benefit from going through these papers. Okay, thank you for watching.